I don't feel comfortable like yelling to you, but I really want to say heartfelt thank you, A King. I appreciate your strength and your commitment to me as a person. Even though I've been very provocative to you, and maybe sometimes I've, caused your personal friends to think that I don't think highly of you. I think very highly of you.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
No, we're being too nice. Are we on ecstasy?
I think that almost warrants a hug. Like, I feel your...
Hey. Yo, you need a hug.
Get ready for combat. No escaping. Get ready for combat. Get ready for combat. No escaping. Dallas on the format. Get ready for combat. Get ready for combat.
Tuned into the Combat Jack Show, www.pncradio.fm. What up, Dallas Penn?
Combat Jack, how you doing, brother?
Yo, man, it's been a while since you've been in this booth.
Man, listen, it feels like a month of Sundays.
Yo, you were gone for like 2 weeks?
I was gone for 2 weeks, and in my 2-week absence, what happened with y'all dudes?
Now, well, you were gone also, man. We had some tension internally, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've been reading the... First of all, I want to give a shout-out to all the listeners and the writers, people that write comments on the site and Twitter and the
What
whole
site is
line.
that?
TheCombatJackShow.com.
Yes, sir.
TheCombatJackShow.com. And people have been like, yo, man, when are you going to stop beefing with Premium Pete? The shit is getting tired. Leave Pete alone.
Pete has a lot of loyal followers.
Or Pete, shut the fuck up. Like, you know what I'm saying? It goes back, but, people have been saying...
Well, Pete can be polarizing.
Dead this shit. Pete is definitely very polarizing. And I decided, man, like, I think we're at this critical juncture, man, where we're going to see a difference in terms of where we are. The spaceship is finally taking off. And I definitely want everybody to be on the spaceship, man. And I think last week emotions ran so high, man, that the scuffling that me and Pete do in the booth actually spilled out onto Twitter and became like a public fight. It's so public to the point that I had
Just Blaze
is in the building. What's up, Just?
What are you in the Marines today? What the fuck is
Sergeant Pepper today?
Sergeant Blaze?
Sergeant Pepper, Sergeant
Parade Rest.
It's the little soldiers from the Nutcracker.
Pause.
No more pause.
No, I couldn't help it. I'm thirsty for it. It's been a while.
So the fight got so ugly with me and Pete, man, that I had somebody from like a major publication hit me. It was like, yo, is this some brother shit or this some real beef? And I was like, it's both. I mean, we don't pull punches here.
Right.
We're very honest here. We're very transparent.
And it can spill out into other public forums.
Exactly. And my experience, as long as I've been in this industry, is when you start to cover up, that's when the cancer starts to fester. Wow. That's the beginning of the end. You know what I'm saying? When you try to play that shit off. So I was like, yo, man, we're about to go down to A3C. You know what I'm saying? We're getting some looks from television and the whole nine. Not that any of those things are etched in cement, but we see things moving. People are really taking note of us. And I was like, you know what? I talked the talk. Now it's time for us to walk the walk. So we got a therapist in here tonight. I invited a therapist over. You know what I'm saying? So, like, let us get through our differences. Because at the end of the day, we all see the same thing. We all want to get to the other side, but I don't want to implode.
I got to tell you something.
What?
If ODB had a therapist, a frequent therapist, he might still be with us today.
You think so?
I think if DMX, I think a lot of black men.
Right. And women.
And olive men. And
Caucasian.
Gingery men. Okay. Men with Blaxican hair, men with blackanese hair.
Men with golden retriever beards.
Yes. Men with
bowl cuts.
Men with fancy dreads that are ready to be manicured.
Men with large bank accounts.
Yes.
Men with no bank accounts.
Yes. Men balding.
Men with neon
balding fathers.
Glasses.
Anyway, basically,
yes.
You're saying that there's a huge segment of our population that would benefit if they were open to therapy.
Yes.
And I
I
think
went to therapy once as a kid.
really once.
Yeah, I kind of thought it was cool to be crazy.
One session.
You need more. You need therapy now.
So I just went like
You need active therapy
And I
right
made
now.
You went for a joke.
I made up things. Like I have an imaginary friend. His name is Motron Jumbo,
Come on, Just.
and they're like interesting.
So you went for one
Doesn't
session.
sound like a
Yeah.
real name.
And what was the result of that session?
They were like, "Your kid is fine."
Yeah, he's good. He's
Yeah,
just got
he's-
an active imagination.
He's, you
and-
know, he's like, yeah, I don't think he. I think he just wants to be here.
Right.
You know what it was? There was a family member who was going, and I used to go with them sometimes. So I'm like, I was just curious as to what it was. So I made up a bunch of crazy nonsense so that I could just go in there and see what was going
Right.
on. And then I was like, oh, this is all it is. You're just talking. All right, never mind.
But did you ever think, like in your professional life, that you would like to bounce some of your ideas or thoughts or concerns off?
I mean, my gut with, or not my gut, but my feeling with therapy and going to see somebody. For some people, they genuinely need it.
Right.
I feel like for the most part, in my experience with other people who have gone and having conversations with them, they pretty much tell you what you already know. You just
Right.
need somebody else to tell you.
Right.
Which some people do need that.
Right. Validation.
Yeah, validation of your opinions, validation of your thoughts and your stances. Sometimes advice, but a lot of times it's advice that things you already know you need to do.
Right.
But you need to hear it from somebody else. And some people definitely do need that. In my professional career, I don't necessarily think that there's times where I've missed that as much as maybe more so I've had moments where I would say, I wish my pops was still around. So I could, because there's certain things that I used to see as a kid that I didn't understand then, that I understand now as an adult, having to be responsible for people and for a household and things of that nature. So it's more so at times where I wish I could be like, yo, I get it now.
Right.
So then, really, I mean, but don't you use somebody now? I think, don't we all kind of use somebody as a sounding board or a confidant?
But we all need that at times.
You know, it's funny, man, because Chris and I went to Reverend Run's house yesterday, and we were talking about.
Whoa.
What do you mean, whoa?
Pete, you can't be invited to everything.
All right.
Trust me, that one wouldn't have worked yesterday. Maybe down in the future, but it wouldn't have worked yesterday.
What do you mean? You brought a white guy there?
No, he brought me there.
Oh, okay, so see,
He brought me there.
See,
so-
that's the shit. See, okay.
Yeah, let's get it. Let's So anyway, though, but we were talking, and one of the things that Run was talking about was like the great influence he had from his father, and now being the head of a household, sometimes I question myself because I didn't have a father figure in my household. You know what I'm saying? So some of the answers that you might have gotten just when you were growing up,
Right.
I didn't have. I'm still trying to figure those things out.
Right.
So I definitely consider myself an willing and open candidate for therapy. But then some of the shit that happened last week and throughout, the run of the show, I was like, let's clear the air.
Right.
Let's clear the air, all the bullshit.
What all happened last week? Because I was stuck on taping.
I mean, I don't want to rehash it because I don't want the listeners to say that I'm bringing shit up. But in a nutshell, we had RZA here last week, right?
Right.
And throughout the conversation, Pete were like, "Oh, you're like a magical Negro."
Right.
No, I refer. Wait, hold up. Just so the internet don't get confused, or just how Dallas always refers to you.
I was going to say, Dallas.
But you know what? It's really. I'm not going to get into it right now fully like that, but maybe it's not my context to say that. But I just, as you guys say, just Blazes, he is. Because he started talking about, the guy is very talented,
very
smart, and he has all these
cultured
crazy
guy.
things that he spoke about, and that's when I referred that.
So when he referred, the RZA was like, because RZA was cool as fuck, baby.
Right.
Motherfucker was on cloud 9.
Yeah.
Like he's so fucking deep. I'm still trying to decipher through that interview. But when the words "magical Negro" came out of Premium's lips, he was
he
like,
didn't
"Excuse
get it.
me, what did you mean by? What did you refer by the word Negro?"
So then I kept on switching. on him, and then he was like, "All right." I know from my heart that he's seen that I wasn't being
of course,
like that,
disingenuous or whatever. But it still caught him off.
DP spoke to me, and he made a good point. When it comes out of context sometimes, and it's not within the realm
Within
of
the
things.
circle, yeah.
So the next day, I was like, I wasn't coming down on Pete. I was trying to hype the episode.
Right.
So I was like, yo, I was tweeting, I can't believe Pete called RZA a magical Negro.
Right.
So I guess Pete you felt that I was calling you out.
Not because sometimes you tweet stuff and then you give an open audience to come at me.
No, I
don't like because then they're like, "Oh, why'd you say that?"
But I can see that because they're. I don't mean to cut you off. They're hearing it out of context.
Can I stop you?
Yes.
Thank you.
Are you on?
Well,
the,
actually,
are you
you
on
know
the
what?
clock?
Let's introduce you the very next segment. I want to introduce you in the very next segment. Our therapist is in the building.
I already have a problem with our therapist.
What?
Yeah.
She's too fine.
She's too fine?
No, I cannot. I had a fine therapist one time, and I really couldn't open up because it was like I know once I open up, I'm gonna ruin all chances I have.
Yeah.
So let me wrap this up. Let's jump to a music break. So
You too fine.
I was like, yo, Pete, like that was cool, but you shouldn't say that. So Pete was like, I'll say basically whatever I want to say.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, but you shouldn't say whatever you want to say on my show.
Right.
And he was like, well, you can be alone on your show.
Now you were doing this just to hype things up.
Until it got.
Well, I just felt like, and I was telling, just referring to, when sometimes, like, people say things like, I just feel like, in a sense of, like, I never say derogatory things, especially against black culture. I don't, you know what I mean? I mean, I feel like, I'm that olive dude, all these years. So the point I'm just making is that I didn't mean it like that. When he said, I felt like he was like, I could say because I'm black and you can't.
You know what? Let's do this.
And I'm not trying to do that, but I felt like he was ha-ha.
Last thing I'm going to say is Pete said, well, we call Just Blaze a magical Negro. And I was like, no, we don't. Dallas does.
True.
And then that's where it ended up. So let's do this.
Okay.
Internets. Let's go to a music break. You tuned into the Combat Jack Show, www.pncradio.fm.
F your radio.
And when we resume,
radio.
We're going to all hold hands
F your
together,
radio.
kumbaya style,
Kumbaya.
Therapy.
and get some open
mental therapy, retail therapy.
There you go. The Combat Jack Show, www.pncradio.fm. And I'd like to introduce to the internet's Dr. Maya Pettiford. Welcome to the Combat Jack Show.
Thank you.
Now,
doctor.
Doctor, I have a doctorate.
Now,
Psychology.
tell us your background. Tell the internets who might not know who you are, what your background is.
I have a doctorate in psychology. I practice psychology in New York City. And I work with all different populations. I've worked in acute settings with people who are actively psychotic. I've worked with people who suffer from drug problems. And I've also worked with the geriatric population.
Okay.
And teens.
Now you,
and family therapy. That's my specialty.
As a practicing psychologist,
Yes.
how long do you think it'll take before it's no longer practice, before you're doing it for real?
Well, I mean, does she
That
have
was
an
not
MD?
funny.
Do you have an MD on your license plate on
I
your car?
have a PhD. And no, because people can follow you.
Okay.
Vanity
On
plates
Twitter,
are
they
not-
can follow you too.
I don't do the internet.
Okay.
Dr. Pettiford, where are you
Yes.
from?
I'm from Brooklyn, New York.
You're from Brooklyn, New York.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, in a nutshell, you help people work through their differences.
One of the things, yes.
And
Improve communication.
Improve communication, and you help people work through their dysfunction. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. What causes dysfunction? Like, what causes...
Your mother.
Your mother. It all comes down to your
It's
mother.
all, no.
Motherfucker.
Who would have known?
Different things. The etiology of mental illness, it stems from many things. It's your environment, it's poverty, it's neglect, it's being of color and having many doors slammed in your face. It can be inherited, such as schizophrenia.
I got all of that.
Stress, money problems, you name it.
Now, one of the things that I've consistently brought up on the show is that I feel, for the most part, the black community is virtually ignored by mental science, and the black community also ignores the benefits of mental science.
Yes.
And now that I noticed that at times we've had some breakdown in this very room, I decided that it was time for us to not just talk the talk, but walk the walk, and have us go through our own form of therapy so that we can have improved dialogue and communication. So you've been sitting in over our last segment, and you wanted to interrupt. How do we proceed?
Well, I'd like for the people who are not on a microphone, who are not necessary for this particular type of dialogue, to leave the room.
Leave the room,
please.
Because
it can prevent people from being more open and authentic. I mean, I know we're on the radio, but we can't see the people who are listening to us.
Right. So how do we determine who leaves the room? Like,
I mean, well, the thing is, obviously Matt is not on a mic right now, but he's obviously an integral part of the show and the circle and the flow of things.
Right.
I gotta say, Matt's kind of even Steven. I don't think he really needs his help.
Okay.
Matt could leave.
He needs plenty.
Matt, can you leave the room? I guess
Ben, I mean, he gets a lot of women, and he never shares any.
Get him out.
Get him out. Yes.
Get out of the room.
You must leave.
SGG Design, who helps us with the.
He's never said a word.
Yeah.
On air.
Get him out of the room.
You gotta get out of the room.
Peace, God.
What about A King? Because A King has, he's part of the
A
exchange.
King is
A King is the reason we
eventually A King will cry, and I want to be present for that. So if this will lead to that moment, then we'll need to have A King here.
Greetings.
Okay, I'm pretty sure I can make you cry without his presence.
Okay, and what about Just?
Do I need to go?
No. Just we need
celebrity therapy. We need
just needs therapy. I tell you why Just needs therapy, because he is so perfect and well rounded. Like, he really needs to be comfortable with his vices, which might be murder.
Okay,
Very well could be.
Yeah.
so it's the 5 of us: myself, Premium, Just Blaze, A King, and Dallas Penn. Okay,
That'll work.
all right. So
You can mess with all 5 of us?
Oh my God.
We're talking about therapy.
Means
group this is as a group.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So how do we start, Doctor?
Okay. So first, I want to compliment you on your pursuing therapy with your wife. It's just something that I heard from a previous segment, which is difficult to do, and you should applaud yourself, because it is courageous to be able to open up to people that you do not know. But I think that that's one of the main benefits of therapy, is that when you are sitting with someone, they're not going to judge you. They're not going to tell you what to do. They're not going to tell you that you're wrong. They're not going to undermine anything that you do. They're just there for you to listen and to guide you through any challenges that you might have.
Okay.
So I've heard that there's been, early in the segment, you tried to rehash the tension between you two.
Yes. But is it just between us two? Like, Pete, do you feel that most of the tension comes directly from me?
I mean,
Be honest.
Be honest.
Yeah, I guess so. Like, meaning, like, between me and you, meaning who has the most tension between anybody in the room, I would say, yeah, me and you.
Okay.
And what about you, Combat Jack?
Pete definitely gets me the most heated. And all of the relationships, all the dynamics. I mean, I would say there are times when, I get pissed off at Dallas Penn as well, but it's not the same type of dynamic. Like, I think Pete and I tend to go head to head.
Head to head.
Whoa.
Whereas
I understand what you mean.
Whereas, Dallas is such a free spirit at times, and it's just like, So.
I can even feel the intensity between you two right now. I mean, yeah.
You can feel the fire between them two.
Intense. No, well, this is what you were saying. You went up to the serious offices and you were talking to these people, and they were like, "Oh, working here sucks." But then you're talking about bringing this show to the next level. You don't want to recreate or have that same kind of environment.
No, definitely.
When you have achieved the success that you want.
Absolutely
so I think it's
not.
valuable for you to, or all of you, to be able to work out your differences now. Now, when you say he pushes your buttons more, what do you mean by that?
I just, I think from the very start, this has been an organic process. All of us joined the show at one point or another in a very organic manner. So, Pete joined the show about 1.5 years ago, very organically, and, his role on the microphone started to grow. It was very natural. And I think the first difference we ever had was when he got upset at me because I don't return his calls or his emails. And he cussed me out at the old studio, and I was like, damn, Pete is really hot-headed.
Did you not find any validity in his getting upset about not acknowledging?
I figured that we came to the show to produce the show and to deliver the show, and this is a journey in the process. So I felt that, I didn't necessarily need to play anybody that close after each episode, but I felt that Premium really cared on a different level. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to give in to his demands, and I'm going to call him and email him as much as possible.
So you heard him, and it wasn't that difficult for you to oblige.
Did I hurt you?
Heard him.
Oh, I heard him. Well, he made himself. There was no way I couldn't hear him because he got up in my face and
it was more than that too.
Said I was all
you could have ignored that though.
I could have ignored that.
You could have ignored his plea.
And Dallas intervened and was like, "Yo, man, you need to hold Pete's hand. You need to massage him every now and then."
No, you don't.
What do you think? Do you?
No, I mean, I was just when Dallas brought me and Dallas were friends before, I came to the show. So when he brought me to the show, and then everything started to escalate, I felt like I brought a lot of energy and emotion, and I felt like we really clicked well. Everything was going well, and then I would reach out to him with suggestions, or I had a lot of people that I wanted to book and stuff like that, and running by him, and this dude wouldn't get back to me, and I was like, yo, I'm the kind of person that I'll give you the shirt off my back, but if I hold the door for you and you walk by and you don't say thank you, I might kick you. That's how I feel. So I felt like how you going to try to do something nice for somebody and also try to bring something to the show, and they're not even paying attention to you. So then I felt like maybe I shouldn't be there. Maybe I should remove myself. So there was a lot of so I basically just told them.
Yeah, but you see how it's one extreme or the other. Either I'm not going to participate at all, or I'm going to kick you.
No, I'm not going to kick him.
But you see what I mean? 0 and 10.
Yeah. I mean, I really consider myself somebody that either you love me or you hate me. There's no in between.
Well, are you the catalyst for those kind of feelings? I mean, do you promote that?
I don't have no banners ads anywhere on the internet, but I mean, I could get what you're saying. I mean, maybe I shouldn't only think that way, but that's just how I feel that my approach is. It's either either you get me or you don't. And there's a lot of people, I think, that I don't know about you, because you deal with so many different personalities, but there's a lot of people that I think you could see that either they rub you the wrong way, or they come across as just being people that you get along with, so to speak. Why you give me that evil look?
I'm not.
Okay.
Actually, am I?
No, it's a little evil.
I'm just listening to you intently.
Okay.
I'm not judging you.
Because if I was about to tell you that I've been touched as a young boy, I wouldn't have told you in that sense. Nah. Sandusky would have told you, but.
Yeah, he does have a big mouth.
If I could just jump in for a second, I think that Combat mentioned something earlier a few minutes ago about the dynamic in the show and how we all evolved in different pieces at different times. I think there's a huge trust issue within the entire crew, and I think that's what we're seeing in pockets in terms of the strife, the tug of war. The attitude, the arguing, and I mean, last week was was probably at its boiling point. And I guess it was a build up, but it was hidden. Sometimes it'll happen, and then all right, we just come back, and next week we do the show, do 5 shows, and then
it's like a pressure cooker.
Then a trigger, and then it's like boom, we right back to 2 months ago. And me personally, I'm a big proponent of resolving issues. Like if you let things fester,
yes,
it's gonna spiral. And I was a part of that, as well as these two. I mean, they was in each other's face. I mean, literally,
that's scary.
Yeah, and as you're talking to Pete, that's what I see. Like it's a big trust issue.
A lack of trust.
Lack of trust.
Lack of trust.
There's a big lack of trust within the entire crew.
Okay.
I think we don't trust each other enough, and I don't think that we probably bonded outside of doing the show to develop that trust.
You have not.
Have not.
Well,
okay.
that's one thing I was going to say was I feel like the angle that Pete is coming from is if I'm here and I'm doing, I'm going to be part of this, I'm going to do whatever I can to make it as best as I can within my ability, which includes, hanging out here and doing what we do, but then also extending that outside. Because ultimately, what the people are going to have to hear, at least in my opinion, is not just us reporting news and having a guest. It's the rapport that's within the circle.
Because the commodity of this show is that our listeners do value the rapport between ourselves, between each other.
Right.
And I feel like, like how Pete will hit me. As soon as I came on board, I knew Pete virtually before this. Twitter, MySpace, Facebook, whatever, mutual friends, via proxy. But as soon as I came in, it was like, hey, what are you doing tomorrow night? hey, let's go hang out here. But I appreciated that. I'm like, all right, I like that. You know
He's
what I mean?
really
Like,
invested.
Yeah, like he's just invested in friendships and relationships and for the betterment of the show. So I say all that to say I would I understand his frustration in reaching out to you for suggestions for the show or just to see what you're doing on a Wednesday night or whatever and not getting the call back.
Right.
I would probably be a little frustrated too. I'm donating my time to your calls, which in the same time as all of our calls.
Right.
But your cause has to be all of our calls.
Of course, I see what you're saying.
And I'm trying to extend that, and I'm not even getting the hit back until I see you.
Next week.
I see you next week. So that would probably bother me as well.
Okay.
But Pete is kind of a hype beast, though.
Wait.
I mean,
people probably make it more dramatic.
Like Pete is calling you up, like finding out what's going on because he knows, like if you hang out with Just Blaze, beautiful shit happens.
Sometimes, but sometimes it's just a good friends and family thing. Like when excuse me, 'cause I think I identify because I get it because I'm kind of the same way sometimes. Like when we didn't really know each other, but I invited you out to my birthday thing.
Yes.
Which was pretty much, as you saw, just a friends and family.
Yes.
That shit was incredible.
It was incredible.
Yeah, but it was just a good night, good energy, and it wasn't like some extra. There were no magic happened. There were no magic acts. There was
no helicopters.
No helicopters, no teleportation.
It was very genuine. It
no
was very
Lear
down to
jets. It was just good people, good food, and good times. You know what I mean?
It felt magical to me.
But to my defense, if I have to put a defense up, once Pete expressed his dissatisfaction, I obliged. Like we spoke more frequently, and we actually became like we spoke more frequently at times than anybody else, at least that I spoke to on the show. Like my situation is different from everybody else's. I have 4 kids. I have a lot of responsibility at home. And
did he tell you? Did you know he was once an attorney? He's an attorney also.
You didn't have to tell me that.
And then last year I had a very high stress work environment that was
Right.
12 hours a day. So it was like,
and he's an attorney.
This was my oasis. The show was my oasis.
Okay.
So.
Okay, and it seems like when Pete was approaching you, you felt overwhelmed.
I was just overwhelmed anyway.
Right. But overwhelmed, and it's like, oh my God, I have like another kid I have to take care of. Not that you're a child, but he had so many requests of you.
I never put him as a child until Dallas Penn said, consider him another child. Then I was like, okay, cool.
Combat Jack is the king of the dry snitch.
But not,
that's what you said, Dallas?
I'm sure I didn't say that, but because I'm a burnout, I can't remember.
Well, if you did say that,
shut the fuck.
But listen, but he's not a child. He's another person who needs and wants something from you.
Right.
He's a needy man.
Can I say pause with that?
We're going to have to pause you, doctor.
Really?
Yeah.
No, doctor, you don't have to.
Oh, okay.
I'm playing
Okay. And the reason why I was looking at you that way is...
I'm attractive, I know.
You may be. Is because I can experience your pain.
Yeah.
So Pete has a lot of...
when you were saying Dallas is saying, well,
I'm Dallas.
Pete,
Libra.
you know how you push buttons and this, that, and the other thing. You can do whatever you want to do. Other people are responsible for how they respond to you. And so, again, the onus isn't just on him. If you start wilding out and start yelling in his face, that demonstrates that you don't have total control.
Doctor, I got to tell you something. I feel like through Combat Jack's years of experience as he's an attorney.
Yeah.
He understands and can read people.
Really?
To the point where he knows when he's pushing Peter's buttons. And I feel like sometimes he knows when Pete's so wound up that if he just pushes his button, bam, Pete will fly off and
So you saying I'm an evil motherfucker?
No, I'm saying that you're willing at times to let Pete unspool himself.
Well, sometimes I will watch Pete unspool himself.
Wait, I think I agree with that, and I think ultimately it makes for good radio,
right?
But I wonder sometimes that's your motivation for doing those things.
Now, actually, I can honestly say that I'm a type of person that I like peace in my environment. I don't like conflict.
But you're Combat Jack.
Papoose people have said that before.
Yeah, that's true.
They have said that.
I don't understand that. That's such a contradiction.
So what does that mean?
I don't know. What does it mean?
Is it like I'm like Bruce Wayne and Batman?
No.
Is that like, is Combat Jack Batman?
No, you're like Harvey Denton Two-Face.
I think there's probably some underlying
Some
anger
psychos?
and rage.
Some sky psychosis?
that you get to express by pushing his buttons because he does it for you.
But you got to say that again.
That's called projective identification.
So-
you get to
Hold on for a second.
That is the word of the year.
Hold on for a second.
Wait, you got to say that
Hold on for a
again.
second. Dwayne, exec producer Dwayne, make sure you drop a nuclear bomb on that. Okay.
So basically, I have anger issues.
some
But
underlying
because
anger. Yes.
Try to rein it in.
Yes.
I have people in my environment that it can express
Yes.
my anger.
Yes.
Yes, you do.
And who better but the guy who goes from 0 to 60 in 30 seconds?
So he's my anger embodied. You know.
Yes.
Wow.
Deeper than Atlantis.
Yeah.
So what do we do now?
We listen to music. I'm getting warm. My ears are getting hot.
Time for a music break.
Yeah, time for a music
The
break.
doctor. Thank you, doctor.
Wait. It's not over yet.
Thank you, doctor.
Yo, I'll tell you,
Time for a music break.
Wait.
We'll be back.
I at one point thought that they were going to bring a man here as a doctor, and then now I mean, it's kind of hard to open up, but then it's like, you know, now that you don't look at me with that evil eye, I really feel that maybe I'm going to open up a little bit more to you next segment.
I need you to open up.
And I'm Italian, so, you know, Italian therapist, you know, Tony Soprano really paved the way for us, you know.
Okay.
Turn off your TV.
Internet, you're tuned into the Combat Jack Show, www.pncradio.fm.
Turn on your radio.
F your radio.